What's up, CineNerds? I'm JP, and today I have...
Oh, I'm Ryan. I think that's my name.
We got a different Ryan tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because my Ryan didn't show up. He ended up getting stuck at work, so...
I'm not as good looking as the Ryan that's usually on, but I hope I'll do.
You're a little thinner.
A little bit. Not too much.
Well, we're not gonna. I'm not gonna go where I was gonna go. I don't want to offend my Ryan because he's going to the gym now, so he's losing weight.
See, I can go to the gym like for months and I won't lose any weight because when I work out and like burn all those calories, it just makes me hungrier. I have to diet to lose weight.
I actually gained up to, for me, and this is heavy for me, I gained up to like 205 pounds handful of years ago. And
I can't even picture you that big.
Yeah, well, I'm actually 180 right now, 175,
Really?
180.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm only looking at 20, 25 pounds, you know. But that 20, 25 pounds, I carried a lot more of it. And I dropped like 20, 25 pounds in like a month and a half.
What'd you do?
Just, only thing I did was, because I love to eat.
Yes.
And
we have that in common.
And I love, very specifically, I love ginormous milkshakes. And I love to get sour cream and onion potato chips and dip in my chocolate milkshakes.
Never done that. I like both of those things. I never thought of them together.
It's kind of like
the fry and the frosty. Exactly. I like that.
Then you're going.
Okay.
Then you'll love this. And
okay.
So I've done that for years, and so I would eat that. I would eat like that, and I would like anytime I eat a meal, I would literally eat until I felt like I was going to pop. And so what I ended up doing was I cut the milkshakes. And then I cut my portions that I would eat to a sensible portion, and I dropped it.
See, when I was younger, I cut the milkshakes too, but I cut mine with bourbon. So didn't quite work as well for me.
All right. So what did you select for us to do today?
Ooh. Well, when you asked me to come on, you gave me a list of movies that you wanted to cover, and then also wanted me to come up with like a top 5 list.
Yeah.
I had a couple ideas, but I weren't sure how seasoned you guys were in like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, like old stuff.
Yeah, you said something about doing a top 5 Twilight Zone, and it's been so long since I've revisited that original series that I was like, I don't know if I could do it, you know, and not do it well. Now the 1980s one, I think I even told you, like I've actually rewatched that one like in the past year.
Not me. It's been a while, but I probably still could. I know what my absolute favorite one of those is, but to come up with 5, I think I could probably do it. Not on the fly, but like in a day. Because I've seen them all several times. It's been a while.
I think within the 1980s, I think if I was to pick a top 5, every one of them would probably be in the first season.
Yeah, probably.
That first season was great. Anyway, he selected top 5 1980s standalone slasher films.
Slasher/horror.
Slasher/horror, yeah. I mainly just focused on slasher.
Okay.
So
I'm a little bit, I got a couple of both, and then one that's kind of neither, but sort of both.
I got one that would be, definitely have one that would be both.
Yeah.
That would be questionable.
See, now what I did, I tried to restrict myself, because like, especially if we had another third person here, and that's another chance to have like doubles and triples.
Yeah.
What I did, and we didn't set this up like this at all. That's all we had. That was the only parameters. But I restricted myself to nothing that was a remake or was remade since. I don't know if you did that. I did. It's cool if you didn't.
I did not. I did not do. If it's been remade, I didn't
discount it.
Discount it. Now, obviously, I didn't select the remake.
No. Right. It has to be 80s.
Yeah, it had to be 80s. But, I didn't disclude anything that had been remade. I don't think I have any that were remakes that would be kind of like, you know, obviously The Thing or something like that, you know.
Because everybody would have that.
Yeah.
Like,
which I just, like I said, I kept mine completely slasher. So I don't have really any actually other horror. I kept mine focused on slasher. Other than one, you may argue that may not be a slasher.
That's
but
okay.
I always argue that it is.
See, Rick and I, our thing, we say horror or horror adjacent. Because that's the big thing. He thinks Silence of the Lambs is a horror movie. I don't.
It's a thriller.
Thank you. That's what I call it. But it's still horror adjacent.
Yeah,
You know?
it's
still
horror,
in the family.
It's horror adjacent,
Yeah.
and Silence of the Lambs was done by and you guys are going to strangle me because I can't think of the production company, New World, which was a Roger Corman production company. So,
see, Silence of the Lambs isn't like your kid brother, but it's like your cousin of horror. You know, it's still in the family.
well, it's kind of like Monster Squad.
So
It has classic monsters in it. It's horror adjacent.
it is. Yeah, we
I always call it gateway horror.
yes, yeah, that's like the big thing too. Gateway horror. We did an episode on non-R-rated like horror, and that made my list of those because I think is that PG or PG-13? It's one of them.
I think
That might even be PG.
I was going to say, was that before the PG-13 rating? So it probably is PG.
So what was that 80?
It's right around the
7?
time. It was right around the time of it. So
Yeah.
it may be PG based on the fact that it may have came out before PG-13.
That one did make my list, though. It didn't make Rick's, but it made mine because I enjoyed that one as a kid. So
Yeah, I love Monster Squad, and there's actually a documentary out called Wolfman Has Nards.
I've heard of that. I haven't seen it. We were just hanging out with Bill Perry recently, who was in that movie.
Yeah.
So he did stunts in that movie.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get to our list here. And before we go any further, we'll go ahead and hit this. CineNerdsPodcast.com. All of our links are there. All of our social medias, all of our letterbox accounts are there. Our shop is there. I actually have new designs of merchandise up. So with the new cartoon versions of me and Ryan. So that stuff is up there to buy. And you can check out the Whole Damn Enchilada at
The Whole Damn Enchilada without the N on Facebook because they still won't let us say damn.
They don't like damn.
Because we're heathens.
Yeah.
And then The Whole Damn Enchilada with the N on YouTube or wherever else.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. And y'all are on Apple Podcasts. And,
Yeah, we mainly Facebook is our main like focus. We're on YouTube, but that's mainly just an archive.
Yeah.
And they're starting to erase those. After
Yeah, I think YouTube you're good, but Facebook is deleting.
Oh, that's where it is. I knew one of them was deleting anything over 90 days or something like that.
It's like after 30 or 90 days, anything that you've went live on Facebook is removing. So good to have that YouTube archive.
Yeah, I think we have them all backed up like hard copies too.
Yeah.
I hope Rick does because if I was supposed to do that, no one told me. But again, you're running a much more professional operation around here.
Yeah, we have mics. That's about the difference.
I had to break in here to get on the show. I wasn't invited. I just showed up. So,
all right. So let's go ahead and hop to our top 5 list. You're the guest. You decide who goes first.
I'll go.
Okay, sounds good.
I usually let Rick go, but if I have a choice, I'll go.
Okay, fair enough. I have a feeling that me and you may have some of the duplicates, and that's okay because if we do, I always have a ton of honorable mentions, and I'm sure you may have some extra.
Yeah, I didn't write any down because I figured, especially if there were 3 of us. Yeah. How long would this take? You know?
Yeah, because originally Ryan was going to be here, and so we decided Ryan told us to go ahead and do this without him, and he's going to come back in a few days, and we're going to get together and film some more of our normal episodes. So
the real Ryan wasn't here, so he ordered one on Temu, and here I am. So, but in like the top 4 for me on this were I kind of hammered those out pretty quick. And I thought, I didn't look at like Rick likes to study other lists and like compile it. I don't do that. And that's fine. A lot of people do that. I came up with my own.
Yeah, no, I come up with my own.
But for the 5th spot, instead of like honorable mentions, I just really, really racked this one over. And I went in a way different direction than I thought I was going to go. This movie is actually a newer one to me. Obviously, it's 80s.
Yeah.
This is a 1987 film, and I'd never seen it until a couple years ago, and I've only seen it once. But it rang really well with me, and it's actually a vampire movie called Near Dark.
Oh, yeah, Near Dark is fantastic.
Yeah, it was. It's Catherine Bigelow's solo directorial debut, who went on to win Oscars. The first woman to win the Best Director Oscar, if I'm not mistaken, for The Hurt Locker.
I think so.
2007, something like that.
Yeah, no, Near Dark is great. It's one of those that got overshadowed by The Lost Boys.
It did, because it came out right around the same time.
Yeah, but the cast is great because it has what's his name from Pumpkinhead, Hendrickson, Lance Hendrickson.
Lance Hendrickson, and then also 2 other actors that were in Aliens.
Yeah, it has
James Cameron just finished directing, and he was dating Catherine Bigelow at the time, and that's how they got into this.
Yeah.
I mean, they would later be married, but they were just boyfriend girlfriend at this point.
Yeah, and that was what's his name from Twister?
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
I always want to say Bill Pullman. And then I get Bill Pullman stuck in my head, and then I can't think of Paxton.
Yeah, Bill Pullman was Independence Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill Paxton was like the horror movies.
Yeah. And Weird Science.
Yeah, that's right.
They turned him into the shit monster.
Right around the same time as this, too. It was like, what, a year or 2 earlier?
They were really close.
Yeah, really close.
Yeah, and the main guy, and I'll never remember his name, but he was the older brother in Heroes.
Okay.
The TV series Heroes. I love Near Dark. Near Dark was one that I missed it when it came out because it was overshadowed. It was overshadowed by The Lost Boys, but it wasn't that long before I watched it. I watched it definitely in the 90s.
Not me.
And
I saw it like 2 years ago for the very first time.
Yeah.
It really stuck with me because I'm like, where's this been?
Yeah.
And I looked it up. It's like, yeah, it was like a cult film. Like, people know about it, but not a lot of people know about it.
Yeah, no, and it's such a good vampire movie, and it's very, very modern.
It's different.
Yeah.
And it almost has even a tinge of Western-y kind of feel to it. And that entered my brain because it's something else we'll talk about later. But that was, I'm like, oh, yeah, that movie, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And Bill Paxton, oddly enough, is my favorite thing about that.
He's so good, especially the bar scene alone with him.
If somebody asks me just what is your, like, prototypical, just ruthless, like, vampire, it's probably him in this movie.
Yeah.
He might not be the best vampire, but like prototypical, just ruthless. Like that's how I want a vampire to be, like scary.
Yeah.
You know, that's him in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. He's pretty terrifying in that one. That's one that I hold in a very high regard as a vampire film.
Well, I'm glad I got a good pick. My first pick is of JP approved. Look at that. And also, I'm pretty sure you know this, but it's a vampire movie, and they never say the word vampire in it, not once.
Yeah. It's. I think I've read that someplace, but it's
not.
But it's nothing. But
you
it's
don't
not,
think about that.
Yeah, but it's nothing that I've really clicked in my head. But now, now that you're saying it out loud, I feel like I have read that someplace that it's not.
I think also a standout is I always forget his name. He was a child actor who plays the young kid in that, who was in River's Edge.
Yeah, that is
John something.
Yeah, it's somebody's actually their little brother.
Yeah,
and I can't remember who it is right now that he's. Somebody really famous is little brother.
Yeah, he's a scene stealer. He is in River's Edge too.
He plays in Class of 1999.
I like that movie.
I love Class of 1999. And he's in a lot of random stuff from the late 80s, early 90s.
Class of 1999 was that on Showtime every night at like 3 a.m. when we were like teenagers. You know,
Yeah, that was one of my go-tos. I still watch that one.
I haven't seen it in probably 20 years, but I always remembered enjoying it.
Yeah, I've got that one on DVD or Blu-ray 1, and I have it on digital, and you can watch that one on Tubi, I think, or you could at one point.
I have to do that when I get home tonight, man. That's just a blast from the past right there. Yeah, that kid was in more things than I remember then. You know, that kid actually, he didn't have like a huge filmography, but most of his stuff was good.
Yeah, and it's going to bother me. I'm actually just going to look
his name?
Yeah, well, not his name. I'm going to look up who his brother is because that is really going to bother me.
He has a very unique like face. You know?
Oh yeah.
You know, he kind of looks like it's not who his relative is for sure, but in the face, like a very young Jeff Goldblum. He has like that kind of like look.
I could see that.
That's not his relative, though. I know who you're talking about, but it's not him. But he looks like like Jeff Goldblum's kid, but it's not. It's somebody's little brother, like you said. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to laugh when I tell you who his brother is. It's his half brother.
Okay.
His older brother is Jason Patrick.
Jason Patrick. Yeah, that's right.
I knew it was somebody like super famous. And
Jason Patrick without a K.
Yeah. Okay, my number 5. Like I said, I kept mine isolated to slasher films. And my number 5, I actually have like anything from my number 5. I have like a top 10 list on here. Anything from my 5 to 10 is my number 5, and I kind of left it like that to decide right now which one I'm going to pick.
The suspense.
So I actually picked Pieces.
Okay.
So, like I said, I kept mine isolated to slasher films. So, Pieces is one of those missed gems I always felt like. You know, it's a standalone slasher film. Did you ever see this one?
I have.
Essentially, it's almost kind of a Frankenstein kind of story, but like the serial killer is kind of mentally deranged, and he's trying to create this perfect woman, and he's taking parts of all these girls at college, and he's like taking one's arms or one's hands, one's legs, one's torso, one's butt, and he's making his perfect woman. And I had actually, this is one that I had not seen up until maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I watched it at the drive-in. It was I think it was a night that they were doing, I think it was Evil Dead and Pieces. And I went to watch, obviously, Evil Dead.
Of course.
And figured out, well, I'll hang out and watch Pieces. And I'd never seen this one and watched it. And I was like, why have I never seen this movie? You know, and kind of fell in love with that one. You know,
I'm trying to think. Didn't the person who directed that direct that creepy doll movie from the 80s too?
You know, I do not know.
I'm not sure.
I didn't look up to actually see who directed that one.
I'm not 100%. Don't quote me on that either, but I could have sworn they directed like a really creepy doll movie that actually was very creepy.
Yeah. Well, Pieces is a pretty creepy, fucked up movie.
So that would make sense.
Yeah.
The same kind of tone.
The only thing that I don't like about Pieces, and not trying to give the ending away, is the ending. The very end, if you remember, they threw in that whole shock thing at the very end, and it was like,
let's see if the audience can piece that one together.
Yeah. It's Pieces. That's one issue I had with, like, the movie is start to finish so good until that final scene, and it's just like they didn't have to do that. But
well, that gives me flashbacks to the first Terrifier short. I really enjoyed that until the final scene too. But I've only said that about 83 times, so we can move on from that.
But you didn't watch any of the other Terrifiers,
I have.
Did you? I didn't know if I could remember.
Seen them all.
Okay.
I've seen them all. I have to. Now that I do a podcast, I got to keep up real time with all the new movies.
You know what? I listen to multiple horror podcasts. Some of the guys refuse to watch those movies.
See, I didn't know like many podcast guys didn't like those.
There's one particular that I'm not going to name them.
That's fine.
There's one particular that the host has just flat refused. Since the first one came out, he's like, I will not watch this. You know, based on he's like, I'm not watching anything based that's just gory just to be gory.
I agree, but I'll still watch them.
I feel like now that we've gotten into Terrifier 3, though, there's a little more to it than just the gore. There's a lot of the silliness with it too. So
I still am not seeing the motivation, and that's like a big thing for me. So, but that's okay.
Maybe he'll get there. It's taken him 3 movies. He still hasn't got
they
there.
Keep giving him money to make more. He's going to keep going. Why would he stop?
All right, you're number 4.
Ooh, my number 4. And like I said, the top one is a little different. I guarantee you won't have that on your list. But 2, 3, and 4, I knew what they were going to be. I just didn't know what order I wanted them to come in. And I know when Rick was on, he's like, "Oh, I'll do it in random order." You're like, "I'm going to do 5 to 1." So I'm going to do like you, do 5 to 1.
Well, it makes sense to do it that way.
It absolutely does. You build anticipation.
Yeah.
You know? Number 4 for me is going to be a pure slasher film. It's going to be The Burning, 1981. And we had you on when we did our 1980, and you already know I love The Burning.
Yeah.
is that it is a pure slasher.
It is a pure slasher. And actually, if you remember, because that was 81, or 81. So that's been like 2 years ago now, roughly, that we did that episode.
Yeah.
It's been a while. So I was on the Whole Damn Enchilada podcast and did our top 5 1981 picks. And I did not have The Burning on my list at all. And it was your number 1. I didn't have it on my list because I had not seen this film.
It was my number
Or-
three.
Okay.
Three.
I knew it was up there.
One of them doesn't qualify for this list, though, because it was Friday the 13th Part 2. Obviously, that's a sequel. It ain't going to be here tonight.
Yeah.
But my number 1 from that night will get mentioned later.
Okay. So, but I had never seen that movie at the time when we filmed that. And
That
so
surprises me so
yeah,
much,
and
too,
so
yeah.
I did not even list that movie on that top 5 list. And so after that episode, I watched The Burning. And then I realized I have seen this movie.
I figured you did.
But it was one that I had seen in the 80s, when I was really young and just didn't know what I was watching. So the funny thing about you selecting The Burning as your number 4, I selected it as my number 1.
Wow. Whoa.
So
what a turnaround
what
from
a
2 years ago.
Yeah, what a
Wow.
turnaround. So my number 1 on tonight's show is actually a film that I did not even rank 2 years ago on
Just
your podcast.
strictly the year that it came out.
Yeah.
Even, yeah.
So I fell in love with The Burning. The Burning, I think, is a lot of ways it's way better than a Friday the 13th movie.
It's way up there, man, and it actually has a lot of elements of Friday the 13th Part 5. It's very sleazy.
Yeah.
And it was one of those first like 80s sleaze, like slashers, because the 80s had it was fresh, 1981. It was shot in 80,
Yeah.
It was the first real sleazy like slasher. The gore is awesome because we got Savini.
Yeah.
Just fantastic gore. And the casting was great because we got at least 3: Fisher Stevens, Jason Alexander, Holly Hunter, who all went on to be stars.
Huge stars.
Brian Backer too, the final boy, which was a different thing. They kind of went with a final boy, so change it up. And it's based on an East Coast legend that Cropsey Maniac, like that's a real thing. So there's mythology behind it too.
Yeah, I put it as my number 1, and I put it as it has become one of my favorite standalone 80s slashers since I've watched it literally within the past 2 years. And it's one that I think that everybody should see, especially if you love camp slasher films. And I just said it a minute ago, I think in a lot of ways this film is way superior to Friday the 13th.
Some of them.
It's definitely better than more than half of the Friday the 13th films. It's a standalone film. It don't have the longevity that Friday the 13th has. But had that series, kind of caught traction and actually had sequels, man, we could be talking about a whole different franchise versus Friday the 13th because that film was fantastic.
Right, yeah, and even if it didn't catch on like globally, that could have stayed a East Coast thing for sure because Cropsey's been a thing on the East Coast forever.
Yeah.
It was like a campfire tale from the 50s.
Yeah.
Kids have been scaring the shit out of each other with that since as far back as horror movies really began, So, but yeah, I'm really glad that you revisited that one.
Yeah.
I knew you would like it. I didn't think you'd like it that much.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Yeah, I even went and bought it on digital, and I bought it when they did the Blu-ray re-release of it.
I have that.
Yeah. So
this Scream Factory.
the Scream Factory.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one was the top of my list for the standalone slashers for 80s.
So I'm 2 for 2 tonight so far.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So my number 4, and I promise you my number 4 is not on your list, or if it is, I'm really surprised. Chopping Mall.
It's not, but I like that movie.
Yeah, Chopping Mall is my number 4, and what's not to love? You're in a mall, just like Dawn of the Dead, but the mall is being
instead of zombies, it's robots.
Yeah, instead of zombies, you have robots that are very similar to Daleks in some ways from Doctor Who. That anybody that comes in the mall after hours, they go on a psycho killing spree. And it stars, and I can her name escapes me now, but the younger sister from Night of the Comet is the main girl in it.
Okay. Her name escapes me.
Her name is leaving me right now, but yeah. And
the only person I can name off the top of my head was the dude Friday the 13th Part 2, the creepy Russell.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 4. And if you've never seen Chopping Mall and you love, if you like movies like Night of the Comet and you like the aesthetic of Dawn of the Dead, then you're probably going to love Chopping Mall.
Yeah, they're staying after hours instead of trying to survive a zombie apocalypse to party.
Yeah.
They're trying to throw this part. It's like mall workers and like friends or something.
Yeah.
I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times, but it's been a while.
Yeah, yeah.
But I definitely recall it. And then just, these robots, they go on the fritz, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is fun. To me, that's not a great movie.
It's not a great movie.
But it's fun.
But it's a really fun, standalone one. And it's kind of your typical JP film. That I think that's where that one falls in for me.
And I'm not 100% sure on this either, but that also feels like a Tubi film. It feels like it would be on there.
I think it is.
I bet it
Pretty sure
probably
it is.
It seems like it should be.
If I know it's been on there at one point. Now, if it still is, because some of that stuff cycles in and out, I don't know, but it probably is still on there.
See, that one actually did cross my mind when I was putting this together, but I didn't give it serious consideration. I do like it, but it's,
I gave it serious consideration.
Apparently. Wow. Chopping Mall.
You're number 3.
My number 3. And this is the one. Yeah. This is the one that some people might not say it's a horror movie, and that's okay. It's still horror adjacent. And it's going to be Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill.
Did not even make my list.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't remember a thing about it. I've seen it, but I don't remember a thing about it.
Michael Caine, Angie Dickinson, Nancy Allen, who I love. Mm-hmm. So I love me some RoboCop.
Yeah.
Also, but I wouldn't put that's an action movie.
Is this the one that I'm trying to remember? Tell me a little bit about, because I'm trying to remember what this one's about, but I remember watching it.
Dressed to Kill is a woman, Angie Dickinson. She's bored with her husband and has an affair, and then as she's leaving, the guy she's cheating with's place, she gets murdered in an elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And like the only clues they have to this, and she gets like murdered by a big like blonde woman.
Yeah.
Like mask and just everything. And the only clues they have is the cheating woman, Angie Dickinson's psychiatrist, is Michael Caine.
Yeah.
And Nancy Allen is a high class like prostitute, and she was visiting a client in the same building and kind of was a witness.
Yeah.
So it's, excuse me. So they're trying to protect her because now they're after Nancy Allen, because they know whoever did this, they know that might be able to identify him, and it's the big thing. They're trying to protect her and solve the crime at the same time.
Yeah, now I remember it, but it's one that I have not seen in years. But I know a lot of people always praise that movie.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Like that movie will end up on like a lot of people's top list of like the 80s,
Yeah, and there's definitely horror to it. There's put yourself in Nancy Allen's shoes in this movie. It's scary, being stalked by this woman that murders with a straight razor in this elevator. Yeah. And it's Angie Dickinson too getting killed like that. I was like, how did they talk her into this?
Yeah.
She was a policewoman.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't picture her like fresh-faced Angie Dickinson is like having an affair and getting murdered in an elevator, Thanks, Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
But this is very Hitchcockian.
I was going to say,
where I'm going to bring that up.
Yeah, I was going to actually say the best I do remember about this film is it felt like it could have been done by Alfred Hitchcock. Mm-hmm. That was the one thing I kind of remembered about it.
Yeah. So. This is... it came out the year Hitchcock died, 1980, which was the year I was born. That's coincidentally how I know when Alfred Hitchcock died. We shared the earth for a few months. That's about it.
Not long. All right.
But that's one everyone should see. Though.
Yeah. I need to revisit that one. That's one because I see that one pop up on a lot of lists and a lot of, not just a lot of lists, but I've watched a lot of I watch a lot of like film documentaries that talk about previous and old films, and that movie always comes up, and it's one that I've seen, but I've just never revisited. So it may be one kind of like The Burning that I probably need to revisit.
Are you a Carrie fan?
I love the original Carrie.
Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll like it then. Same directing style.
Yeah.
You know. So if you like the way he just frames things, then
Yeah.
you would enjoy this.
Yeah, I love.
And the story's good too.
I love the original Carrie, and the remake. Well, we're not going to talk about the made-for-TV remake, but the remake that came out, 15 years ago now. It's been a while.
I never watched it.
I watched it. Now,
I did watch the Rage Carrie 2, though. Oh, God.
the thing with the remake is very note for note the original, except the ending is extended more like the book, which I liked. But the difference that it doesn't capture is, what's her name? Sissy Spacek, or her. You just cannot recapture what she did in that original Carrie. And my problem is like, I know we're getting away from our top five, but
all right. Still has to do with De Palma.
Yeah, Sissy in that original Carrie, when you saw her, you believed that she was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she goes to prom, or homecoming, was it prom or homecoming? It was prom.
Yeah. So it's the end of the school
yeah.
year.
She was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the remake, the girl that played, and her name escapes me. She's actually a pretty well known actress. The girl that played Carrie in that remake, she was cute all through the whole movie. It was like, and it did not work on the same level
because you don't sympathize as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, the interactions between her and her mom in the remake, I like better.
And it was Piper Laurie that played her mom in the original.
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
in the original.
Yeah.
But Julianne Moore.
Oh, I love Julianne Moore.
She plays the mom in the remake.
She's a great actress.
I would say watch the remake just so you can see that extended ending with that. It's more like the book, Stephen King's book, and Julianne Moore. Julianne Moore, because the interactions between her and her mom in that remake are fantastic. It's just, she's no sissy. That's the big letdown.
That's like an impossible role to recast, though.
Yeah.
It's just,
yes,
she killed that, and then went on to win Oscars a short time later.
Yeah.
So again, there's something there. We all saw it.
Yeah. No, she was absolutely embodied Carrie. My number 3. Funny story. My number 3 is an 81 film as well. Standalone film. And this one was up there on my, I can't remember where I had it in on my list what we did, but it was definitely probably within the top 2.
81 was a hell of a year.
So the one I didn't watch became my number 1 from 81 for today's episode, but my number 3 is The Prowler.
Okay.
And I think The Prowler is one that a lot of people missed.
They did.
And The Prowler is a fucking great slasher film. It starts in the 50s, and then it moves later, 20 or 30 years later, I think it is, to basically a sorority house. And this guy's a prowler. Basically, he's just going in and killing people on this at this college, and it's one of those that just absolutely gets missed.
I like the military get up.
Yeah, and he has like the full body armor, the helmet. I'm trying to remember. He has like a gas mask he wears, doesn't he? For like the military gas mask. And that movie is just a missed gem.
That reminds me of Hitchcock too, just because Farley Granger's in it.
Yeah, it's
Strangers on Train.
Yeah, it's very, and I think The Prowler is one you could probably watch on Tubi as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think it is, because I think I watched it on Tubi before we did the 81, because it was one that I hadn't seen in a while. So before we did the 1981 episode, I was like, I want to revisit The Prowler, and man, when I did, and I haven't watched it since then, and it's one I do want to revisit again. But that movie, as a standalone 80s slasher, that film is just a missed gem.
I agree with you that one doesn't get brought up nearly as much as like a lot of other ones. And 1981, again, it was a very stacked year. That didn't make my top 5 for 81, but I think I had it 6.
Yeah.
I think it was like right there. I haven't seen that one in a very long time, but I've seen it three times, maybe 4 times. And I always enjoyed it. It just didn't stand out to me. And for me, and I'll bring it up as an honorable mention real quick. It was another 81 film I don't have. Like, for me, it was between that one and like My Bloody Valentine, which I didn't list because that got remade later. So I eliminated it from contention, and I just liked My Bloody Valentine a little more. So that's probably the only reason why any other year The Prowler makes my top 5.
I would have the unpopular opinion of I like The Prowler more than the 81 My Bloody Valentine. But I have the really unpopular opinion that I actually really like that remake. Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
It's all I got to say.
I've never watched My Bloody Valentine remake.
Really?
No.
It's actually a fun slasher film.
I like the original so much. These things scare me away. Like remakes, there are very good ones. My favorite horror, besides The Thing, but that's different.
The Blob.
Yeah, and it's an 80s movie, you know?
Yeah, The Blob is...
Yeah, 88.
If you discount The Thing as a remake, and some people do...
But it is.
This
is a source material.
Then The Blob is the greatest remake ever made.
Yeah, when I did Bloody Essentials, I did an episode with them. Shout out to those guys. About your favorite remakes, and that's the one I chose.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah, The Blob would be mine too. But I stand by that My Bloody Valentine remake is solid.
Well, maybe you talked me into it.
It's solid.
Maybe you talked me into it. I'm still not watching the Fog remake ever though.
So. No, you can avoid that one.
If you can say not to watch that one, then you
can definitely avoid the Fog remake because But the My Bloody Valentine, I watched that one. I went to the movie theater and watched that one in 3D.
Okay.
And
when that come out, about 2010.
Probably 9, 10. Yeah, probably something like that. And the 3D on that one was fantastic. And it was really, there was a lot of shots they did specifically for 3D. And so it worked really well in the theater. And I think that's why I like that one so much. And then again, Tom Atkins.
Well, yeah. And that's probably why I get beat up for enjoying Hard Eyes this year as much as I did. Because I saw it on Valentine's Day with my girlfriend.
I see the same with My Bloody Valentine. I watched it. It came out around Valentine's Day, and me and my ex-wife now, we went and watched that in the movie theater for Valentine's Day. So it was just one of those fun experiences. You know?
If I would have went by myself on a random Tuesday, it wouldn't have been as fun.
Probably, and I might not even think about that film as My Bloody Valentine as much. But you're right. I mean, it became more of an event.
Yes.
And
it had already been out for like a week and a half, but I waited just for that night,
And I haven't seen Hard Eyes yet.
I enjoyed it.
I actually recently just bought it on digital because it was on sale. And I was like, I think it was on sale for like $9 or something like that.
I liked it more than Rick, and that's rare.
So I do have it to watch. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So
it's up there.
All right. We're at your number 2.
My number 2. And this I didn't even do this on purpose, but I was just like, oh, yeah. Back to my number 3 for 1 second, Dressed to Kill. Keith Gordon is in that. He actually plays the son of one of the people that's trying to protect Nancy Allen. Well, Keith Gordon is also in my number 2 movie. He's the star, and it's going to be John Carpenter's Christine. I always liked this film, but I rewatched it in the theater for the anniversary with Rick a couple years ago, and I just got a newfound appreciation for it. And I forgot that the score was that good.
Oh, yeah, it was John Carpenter.
I know, but all his scores are good, but this one really stood out. That and just being a horror-ish movie about obsession, but not obsession with like a member of the opposite sex or anything.
And it's essentially a slasher film too.
Yes. The car is the slasher. Yeah, Christine is
Yeah.
the slasher.
And it also has one of my favorite 80s actors, John Stockwell, that did Radioactive Dreams. Obviously, everybody knows my love for Radioactive Dreams. And he also did My Science Project with Dennis Hopper.
I never saw that.
Really?
No.
That one's a great one,
I love
too.
Dennis Hopper, so.
Yeah, it's...
My Science Project.
Yeah, my Science Project. It's a... It's kind of a horror film. It's definitely a heavily science fiction film. But basically, he finds this this device in an old Air Force base, and it's like an alien tech. And when he activates it, it opens up portals to other dimensions.
Okay.
And then, like, basically, at one point, all these portals open up. And so, like, you have dinosaurs, you have Neanderthals, you have people from the future, like, all mixed together, like, within this whole area, and they're trying to get through there to get to the device to deactivate it. So it becomes, you know, it's a kind of a crazy, insane movie.
Is it like adventurous too?
Very kind of adventurous.
That's
kind
what
of,
I'm getting.
Yeah, it's kind of adventurous. It's kind of science fiction.
I like adventure
It's
movies.
kind of horror in a sense. But yeah, if you're a Dennis Hopper fan,
Yeah.
you know, then it's one you'll probably want to check out. It's cool.
I'll have to put that on the list
Yeah.
for sure.
But Christine, yeah, I love Christine.
Yeah.
But obviously, I love John Carpenter.
Better than Wes Craven, Rick.
Yeah, there's a reason that Wes Craven said, if you want to talk to the master of horror, go talk to John Carpenter. There's a reason. But yeah, Christine, that's one, and I've actually rewatched that multiple times this past year, just because, yeah, I love that movie.
The
And
last time I saw it was in the theater for the anniversary, like a year and a half ago.
yeah,
So cool seeing it in that element.
I didn't get to see it in the theater, but yeah, no, I love Christine, and that film, you know, as he goes psycho.
Mm-hmm.
He goes like from 0 to 100 psycho quick in that movie over Christine, and it's his fall into insanity is, by the end of the movie, you believe he's fucking crazy.
I've never seen anybody so obsessed with something that wasn't another person in a movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, that's definitely up there with me. Honestly, and yeah, I kept mine towards slasher films. Christine is technically a slasher film. That one probably should have made my list, but I didn't think of it as a slasher film.
That's fair.
However, my number 2 is also a John Carpenter film. And this is one that I actually said before we started recording. I had one that, in a lot of ways, is, most people would argue it's not a slasher film, but it has a lot of the tropes of a slasher film. It also has the tropes of being a ghost film, which is John Carpenter's The Fog.
Ah, the original.
Because, I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Atkins.
I thought you were going to say Prince of Darkness for a second, and then I was going to get up and walk out of here.
I love Prince of Darkness, too. I do love Prince of Darkness.
That's like his one boo-boo from that decade. I'm sorry.
No, I love Prince of
I
Darkness.
don't. But let's not get off track.
But I don't think of Prince of Darkness so much as a slasher.
Right. It's a horror movie.
It's a horror film. I will admit, it is probably the weakest John Carpenter 80s film.
Oh, of these 80s movies, yeah. Look how stacked they are.
Yeah. But being the weakest of John Carpenter films in the 80s still doesn't mean that it's a bad movie, because his films that he did in the 80s were just, nobody was better.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Fog, I mean, you basically have the ghosts are the slasher killers. You know, I mean, it's that movie is just a creepy fucking movie, and
It's actually kind of scary too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a solid fucking horror film in general. And what top 5 list can you have without having a John Carpenter film in it?
Yeah, I snuck one in there.
So,
I'm a big fan of The Fog, but not as much as most.
Yeah.
I still like it a lot. but it just, and obviously wouldn't qualify for the list because The Thing was a remake that is just so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's wow. That's where I really turned Rick. He actually had never seen it till a few years ago.
The Thing?
Yeah, he never had.
You know,
And then it was over for him after that.
yeah, you know, the funny thing is, my Ryan had seen it once when he was a kid and hated it.
Wow.
And had never watched it again and until I made him watch it for the podcast.
Have to.
And then after he watched it, he literally came on the podcast and thanked me. Yeah.
Rick did too when I made him.
I was like, yeah, The Thing is probably one of the greatest horror films ever made.
Because, yeah, we had that whole Craven, John Carpenter debate where I was Carpenter, he was Craven. And we went back and forth. It was supposed to be a 4-week thing where we went back and forth. Second week, he watched The Thing and he tapped out.
Yeah.
He was like, you and
yeah.
She's like, because even if I pull Nightmare out, you're going to pull Halloween out, you know?
Yeah.
So
Wes Craven.
I had an ace up my sleeve the whole way.
Wes Craven is nothing to Carpenter. Very specifically, 80s Carpenter is better than... You could take just the decade of the 80s Carpenter stuff, and you're still better than the entire catalog of Wes Craven.
Yeah, and you're not even getting Halloween then. That's
You're not even getting
yeah,
Halloween.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's...
Don't need it.
Don't need it.
Throw that as a cherry on top, though, and forget about it. Yeah.
All right. You're number one. Is that where we're at?
Yep. We already know yours.
We already know my number one, which
I pulled it out.
was his number 4, which was The Burning.
And my number one is the same number one as when we did the 1981 films, and that's a film called Eyes of a Stranger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't even really realize how stacked that movie is with people behind the scenes, so I actually did take some notes on this. And for those that have not seen that, it was directed by Ken Wiederhorn, who did Night of the Living Dead 2.
Yep.
It was written by Ron Kurz, Friday the 13th Part 2. It was edited by Rick Shane, Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. And Tom Savini did the makeup in it.
Yeah.
So you have a resume right there already. The cast, it's Lauren, I think Tews is her name. She was the main female character from The Love Boat. I didn't watch The Love Boat much when I was a kid, but she was was Julie. She was the one she was on the whole run.
Yeah.
It had Jennifer Jason Leigh in her very first film role a year before Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which coincidentally, Brian Backer in The Burning was his first film role a year before Fast Times at Ridgemont High, too.
Yeah.
And then it had John DeSanti as the third thing, and he was you might not know that name, but he's a character actor. If you saw his face, he was in every 80s TV show ever made as a guest star or a bad guy or something.
Yeah.
So what this basically is the lead, Lauren Tews. She's a news reporter in Miami, and there's this brutal serial killer going around the city, sexually assaulting and murdering women. She's convinced that a guy in her apartment complex is the killer, but she has no real evidence. But she just strongly feels that way, and her little sister is like deaf, blind, mute, and that's Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah.
But she wasn't born that way. She was born like any other person, but she was assaulted as a younger, and it just shocked her into that. So it's her trying to be super protective because her sister's already been attacked, and then also trying to convince people this guy's a killer.
Yeah.
Maybe he is, maybe he's not.
This is one that I know of, but I've never watched.
Oh, man.
And I think when we did the 81 thing, you actually said, no, you hadn't. I think I said the same thing, and you were like, oh, you have to watch it. And this is one that I did revisit The Burning, but I did not ever revisit this one.
Top of your list.
but I do know of the film, and mainly because of Jennifer Jason Leigh being in it.
It's her first movie.
Yeah. All right.
Obviously, she doesn't have much dialogue, if any. No spoilers.
Well, she's mute.
But it sounds like there's all the elements there. It sounds like maybe it's something you've seen. It's kind of like Rear Window, but a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Again, going to Hitchcock.
Yeah.
It has that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I can see that. Just from what little I know of the film, I can imagine it being kind of...
Kills are great. Savini,
So,
you know. Yeah, I actually rewatched this just a few years ago for the first time in many years. I always liked it. But I'm just like, man, I forgot how like bloody like this was. This was supposed to just be, and I did look this up and did a little homework. It was supposed to just be a thriller. But when they were shooting this is when like Friday the 13th and like those movies were coming out in theaters and making all that money. And they're like, hire that guy. Okay, so they brought Savini in and they did the kill stuff.
Yeah.
They shot like main story stuff already, but they brought him in and redid all the kills and things and made it like gory.
Well, the market really flooded with very specifically any kind of slasher film because of Friday the 13th and Halloween.
Yeah.
So you had like multiple slasher films coming out what seemed like every week. You know, they were just trying to find the next Friday the 13th or Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
So you had all these random films that came out, and you end up with a great, and I think that's what made the 80s so great, was you had all these hungry directors flooding the market with anything that they could do.
Mm-hmm. Like, I got an idea.
Honorable mentions.
Sure.
Especially since my number one's already been talked about pretty heavily, The Burning. My number 6 on my list was Maniac.
Okay. I thought there were sequels to that.
Is there?
Maniac 2 and Maniac Cop and
Maniac Cop's not part of that.
No, but I thought there was a Maniac 2.
Not that I know of. Now there is a remake.
Okay, I know that.
Yeah, there is a remake of with what's his name? Elijah Wood.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that remake's actually pretty
It's not
solid.
bad,
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
I did see that one.
And another one that I have on my list, which also has a remake, and I do not think it has a sequel, was April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day actually came close to making it for me.
Yeah,
it did. It doesn't. It would have been the sore thumb on my list, but I still liked it.
Yeah, and
shout out to Amy Steele
and the main actress in April Fool's Day. We're going to talk about her soon.
Yeah, yes, we are.
I also had My Bloody Valentine, which you mentioned, and Road Games was another one.
I don't know that one.
You don't know Road Games?
I don't think so.
Road Games is actually a Jamie Lee Curtis film.
No.
Yeah, and it was filmed in Australia. It takes place in Australia, and basically it's a serial killer that's killing people on this this strip of highway, and essentially there's multiple truck drivers up and down. There's truck drivers getting killed. There's people. It revolves around this one truck driver and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay.
It turns into kind of a cat and mouse kind of film. But yeah, Road Games. If you've never saw that one, you'll probably really like that one.
Road Games. Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the other main actor. It's Jamie Lee Curtis and Road Games.
That premise kind of reminds me of The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer.
It's kind of.
And Jennifer Jason Leigh, of course.
Yes, Stacy Keach.
Oh, yeah.
Plays in Road Games. Yeah, he's the main truck driver, and Jamie Lee Curtis. So it revolves around both of them.
I love that movie, The Hitcher.
Yeah.
86. Yeah. Yeah, Rutger Hauer, that's a villain.
Yeah. Rutger Hauer is great and everything. I love Blind Fury.
Oh, yeah.
You ever see that one?
Yeah.
And Crossworlds, that was another really good one.
He just passed away a few years ago, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago or something.
Yeah, it's been pretty recent.
Yeah.
You got any honorable mentions?
My Bloody Valentine was the big one because it almost made the list. But
Yeah.
I restricted myself to not, even though it didn't have a sequel, it was remade later, like way later, but I still laid off of it. April Fool's Day came close. For me, it did. I have fun with that movie. Some people don't like it. I had fun with it.
I love April Fool's Day.
And then, does Reanimator count?
I mean, I don't guess you can disregard it.
Yeah, because that was never remade, was it?
No.
I didn't
There
think
is sequels, though.
Oh, are there?
Yeah,
then I
because you got
couldn't do it.
Bride the Reanimator, you got
you're
Reanimator
right.
Beyond,
Yeah.
or Beyond the Reanimator. So yeah,
So I
there
was
is.
thinking about that.
Yeah, so that one, I guess we couldn't include that one.
Other, what was it? What's that Cronenberg movie where Jeremy Irons plays the twins? That one was really good.
Oh,
Yeah, that one was up there. And then also another Cronenberg, Videodrome.
Videodrome was a good one.
Love
Yeah,
that movie.
one another slasher film that I started to put on my list, but I didn't because it'd been so long since I watched it. Was Intruder. And that one was always a fun slasher. but I didn't include it mainly because it's been so long since I watched it.
It's tough to narrow down to 5 as well.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, if I went away from slasher films, then yeah, I would have. There's a lot of other films that I would have put on this list. You know, Videodrome being one. You just mentioned that one. Scanners.
Yeah.
Scanners is a great one. I mean, you could go down the list, especially Cronenberg alone.
Yeah. Because none of his stuff really was sequeled out or
No,
that's not his.
it was never his thing. Yeah.
No, his modus operandi was, this is my vision. Here it is.
Yeah.
And I move on to the next thing. So,
Yeah.
which I appreciate and that's why I thought this would be a good topic, because the 80s was also the birth of the multiple sequels.
Yeah.
Everything had become a franchise.
Everything at least tried to be a franchise, so a lot of stuff ended up with at least 2 films.
Yeah, and like all the like legendary things that started, you know, the whole thing, Halloween, Friday the 13th. I mean, they all have 33 movies in each one, and we're in the middle of the Hellraisers right now on number 5.
Yeah, you guys are doing number 5 this week.
Yes, we are. Don't remind me.
Have you watched that one yet?
No, I'm gonna watch it tomorrow.
You know, the thing, and I was because me and Rick went to Oddmall yesterday.
Oh yeah,
and he said something about he may end up having to do Hellraiser 5.
Yeah, we are.
And
we have a guest for the week after. But
yeah,
for this week we don't.
Yeah, I saw the post today, and I was like, oh, okay, so he is doing Hellraiser 5. But I actually told him, I was like, you know, Hellraiser 5 isn't good, but it's not as bad as you're going to think it is.
I think it's going to be really bad, so you're probably right. Because I did not enjoy 4.
At least, this is what I'll say for it, at least the main actor you're going to recognize.
Okay.
Because the main actor in the film is... and I can never think of his name, but it's the main guy from Nightbreed.
I know who you're talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah.
And
I haven't looked at anything. I'm going into that one blind.
Go into it blind.
Yeah.
And with 0 expectations, and you're probably going to walk out and enjoy it a little bit.
The rest of these Hellraiser films, that's exactly what I'm going to do for all of them. I'm not looking at trailers. I'm not looking at IMDb. I'm just turning them on.
I'll go ahead and tell you, there's going to be a few coming up. They're painful, man. Man. And that's coming from me. That's coming from me. They're painful. And I literally, actually, if you go to our .com, I literally, over like a few months ago, went through all the Children of the Corns.
Oh, no. Those get really bad.
And, yeah.
Ooh.
And I have written reviews on our website. And once we got past the first 5...
I forgot they even went up that high.
There's 11 of them.
Oh, my goodness.
If you count the made-for-TV remake, there are 11 films.
Oh, that remake was like the worst thing.
And, well, actually, the remake that came out a couple years ago isn't that bad. Especially once you watch 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
And the made-for-TV remake. When you get to that new remake, you're like, oh, God, this is so good. And because everything in between those is so bad, you just want to throw something at your TV and break it.
You know, a lot of these properties, you know, these film franchises, they lay dormant for years. Who's to say generations from now, long after we're all dead, anybody listening to this is dead, 100 some years from now, there's not going to be a Children of the Corn 26 or something. You know, there's no way to not know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that just. Oh.
Well, you know, one thing
that's more terrifying than any of the movies we talked about. Just thinking that might happen.
Yeah, and let me tell. But you know what? I did figure out, like going through all these Children of the Corns, kind of like you're doing with the Hellraisers now. I think it's. I have to go check my .com, you know, the reviews on my .com, but I believe it's part 4. That one is surprisingly amazing.
Children of the Corn.
Yeah, and it stars Karen Black.
I love Karen Black.
She's one of the main stars in it, and Naomi Watts.
I like her too.
And CGI is garbage in it. So if you kind of disregard the CGI, that film it's probably better than the original. Like it's so good. But everything in between that and after that, just stop. Just don't. Take my word. Do not watch those films.
And because you said Karen Black, I can say Alfred Hitchcock again. Family Plot.
Yeah.
So there. I brought him up how many times?
But the one kind of like with the Children of the Corn. Well, I said I got to that new remake where it was like, oh, this is so good by comparison.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the Hellraiser remake or reboot,
I've heard it's good.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the girl that plays Pinhead is actually fantastic
I've
as
heard that
Pinhead.
too.
Yeah,
I have heard that too.
the movie itself is kind of mediocre. It's not great. It's not bad, but to have this new Pinhead that's not Doug Bradley, and she do such a great job. It's well worth watching.
He praised it.
Yeah.
I remember when he first saw it.
Now there's going to be one or two in there that Doug Bradley doesn't play Pinhead, and it was recasted as a couple other guys, and those are awful. They're bad.
I can imagine, because that's again like a role. Don't recast that.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to do it anymore, just maybe that should tell you something that you shouldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it for this one, man. That was fun.
All right. Well, until next week. See you later.
And there goes the neighborhood. Oh, wait, wrong show.